Officially welcome. Really good expression, really good chat. Nice to see you again, Archie Bakang. Welcome back. Long time no see. Great to have you here for a session. So, yeah, let's dive into today's quote. That's always a good place to start, isn't it? And that'll lead us nicely into our lesson for the day, which is another profound lesson from Yeshua, Workbook lesson 45. Again, all about really shifting into God's mind is today's lesson, and thinking the same thoughts as God, or perfect love. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you. If you can kick it off, Archie, by reading that quote. For us, a very short, sweet, simple quote today, but nevertheless profound.
So man's desire is to know the mind of God.
Yeah, again, that should probably be translated. Maybe I'll do that next time. A person's desire. It doesn't sound quite as profound.
No, I think man's
person's desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we get the idea that it's humanity. You know, it's not man or woman, but man's desire, humanity. Every person's desire is to know the mind of God.
Yeah.
I called Jared Brock, Canadian author, which expresses the true desire of every person, because at the core of our being, we still know who we truly are. And so we'll never be truly satisfied with anything less than this quote, knowledge. That's what the Course calls knowledge. And that actually leads us quite beautifully into our mind training lesson, which is all about sharing the mind of God. But before we get there, just going to talk about the be vigilant only for God and His kingdom, which is part of the text. We studied that. I don't know if you're reading any of the text, but yeah, unfortunately, we just don't have time to do it all. So maybe next year we focus more on the text. But this year we'll do the workbook. And the text is there for you to read. There's recordings on most of the sessions, which you can access through the emails or through the documents that I give you, where you can go into more detail and we discuss it, read it, discuss it. So the key message of the lesson, this is workbook lesson 43, 2 days ago, that I click the link. See, the links are working for me. It's weird. Anyway, it's just like, I don't understand. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. So really saying, we need to acknowledge our source, and we cannot see or perceive anything that is apart from that source. Everything is actually in that source. It's an awareness, right? If that's fundamental awareness, then how can we perceive anything if that's our fundamental awareness? That's apart from our fundamental awareness. That's what it's saying. Just saying it in an old-fashioned way of using God as, God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. But awareness, pure formless awareness, is my source. I cannot see apart from this awareness is equally valid. That's our alternative version of the quote of the lesson. So you're taking that in conjunction with be vigilant for God and His kingdom, is saying be vigilant only for that awareness. We must learn to see or perceive everything through the eyes or awareness of love by being vigilant against the ego or belief in separation, and letting its thoughts and emotions go whenever we become aware of them. That's how we maintain our awareness of God's kingdom. We have to be vigilant against the ego or the belief in separation, which is the opposite. And those thoughts and emotions we must be aware of, become aware of them, and then say, no, this isn't what I want. I'm willing to change my mind and to let it go. And if we do that, we automatically accept the gifts of the kingdom in Course in Miracles terms, or the blessings of being in a state of pure formless awareness. That's what it means. If you're in that state, it's very deeply peaceful, it's joyful, you're naturally happy, there's no stress, there's nothing to worry about. Life is a joy when you're in that state. But as we know, that state can be elusive in this world. Just when you think, oh, yeah, I'm so peaceful and happy and blissful, what happens? Something comes in and disturbs your peace. Because the ego doesn't want you to be eternally peaceful and blissful and happy, because that would be the kingdom of heaven. That would mean that you're out of its domain. And the ego doesn't exist there, right? So it can't stand eternal peace and happiness. It's always going to try and create some disturbance of the peace, some drama, which explains why this world isn't peaceful. Right? It makes a whole lot of sense when you look at how the world is. You go, well, clearly this is not a very peaceful thought system that created this. So Yeshua's saying, what there's an alternative thought system which is going to take you into an alternative reality that he calls the kingdom of heaven. In other teachings that it's called different things by different teachers. The Buddha called it nirvana. In the East they call that state samadhi. They call it Brahman, which is ultimate absolute reality. Many names for it. It's the same thing. It's the same state. It's just language, which actually doesn't mean anything, because those words are not the territory. Those are the map of the territory. They just point you to the state. They are not the state itself. So why are you getting attached to the words then? So all of that, religious dogma goes out the window. It's ridiculous. Oh, I say the kingdom of heaven, you say nirvana, I'm right, you're wrong. It's nonsense. It's the same thing. It's just different words, different languages that are pointing to the same state of awareness. Jesus' kingdom of heaven, the Buddha's nirvana are the same thing. And that's what you start to see. It's a common experience that underlies the apparently different terms and language, which is why this is ultimately a universal course. It's a universal teaching, and the perennial philosophy says that it's really all the same truth. Isn't actually anything different about any of it if you really penetrate to the core level of it and you get beyond all the terminology and the dogma, all the illusory stuff, language and concepts and dogma, all of that. If that's stripped away, Yeshua's experience when, let's say, he came into his enlightenment and it says a dove comes down from heaven, was probably almost identical to Buddha's experience under the bo tree when he came into his enlightened state. Probably those states were remarkably similar if they could have described them. Obviously, we don't have, he didn't describe his state of mind at that point, neither did the Buddha, really. So we have to kind of guess. But, the state would have been very, very similar. And then people try and describe it in language, it doesn't really do it justice at all. And then they see differences where actually there's this underlying sameness. But that's the ego for you. It's always going to look for the separation. There's a session which we're in at the moment, and that leads us a little intro into our lesson for today, which we will dive into. So if you can read each one of you, there's two of you. So if you read the original, and Archie, you read the alternative of the key idea, and then we'll go into actually there is an alternative for number one. So Bakang, I'll ask you to read the original, Archie, you read the alternative of the key idea, and then Bakang, you read the first paragraph kindly.
God is the mind with which I think.
Yeah. And then Archie, you read pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah. So pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think.
Yeah, it's a subtle change, right? But the reason why I show you both is because it actually helps you to understand the original better, I think.
Mm.
God, being pure formless awareness of perfect love, okay, so it's an awareness fundamentally, is the mind, the awareness. What is the mind but awareness? In which I think, right? Not with which, in which I think.
Mm.
The thought happens in that awareness. Without that awareness, there's no thought. The awareness is the ground of being, or awareness from which all thought arises, but which is beyond all thought. It's not defined by thought, but there could be no thought possible without that awareness. So why the ego feels horribly challenged, because even egoic thought, separated thoughts, have to have a foundation. You have to have that fundamental awareness still there. Otherwise, there would be no awareness. There'd be no mind to even think. So the ego is thinking against the fundamental awareness that underlies it, that is its foundation. Well, that's obviously not going to be conducive to any kind of inner peace, is it? You're always going to feel conflicted. There's going to be this profound inner conflict in your mind, and then that obviously gets projected out into the world, and that's why we have such an unpeaceful world. Okay, so let's go on to the first paragraph then. Bakang, if you can read that for us kindly.
Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They are nothing that you think, just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way. There is no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what vision will show you.
Yeah, quite profound. So what's he saying there?
He's basically saying that that which you think is necessarily not, what is real, or that which you think, it doesn't necessarily mean that it comes from pure formless awareness.
He's basically saying we're clueless. You want to, yeah, you think you know all this stuff, but actually you're clueless. You know, nothing that you think. You're so involved in your thoughts, and you think you're very clever. You're actually clueless. You have no idea what your real thoughts are. You say you have no idea about anything, really. We're like babies, really, thinking that we're so smart, but actually not smart at all, because none of what we're thinking is even real. Nothing that you think, right? So you think you're thinking it, and so you think you see it outside of you because you projected it all out. If there's any resemblance to what vision, which is true perception, will show you. So when you truly start to awaken, you truly start to know who you are as this pure formless awareness of perfect love, and you perceive that everywhere, then you start to awaken to who you are, and your thoughts change. And what you thought before, you go, I can't believe I thought such rubbish. That was just madness. What was I thinking? Well, you were actually thinking nothing, but you thought what you thought was something. That's the problem. You gave it a meaning, you gave it importance, you gave it value. All of these thoughts were very important to you at that stage of consciousness. Until you go, no, it's actually all BS. None of it means anything. Chuck it all out. That's what he's basically saying to us. Which, is going to create a bit of resistance with the ego because it's pretty radical. So it's not like no holds body. It's just saying you're completely clueless. Chuck it all out. This is a dysfunctional operating system. Chuck it out. You don't need the operating system anymore, right? We're not trying to fix the operating system. Chuck it out entirely and install a new operating system. The old operating system's not going to be very happy with that, is it? Because it's the end of it. But that's effectively what we're trying to do here. And then everything that happens, now your perception of the world happens within this new operating system. So all the different apps that run in your world, okay, so I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm touching, tasting, I have this area of my life, I have a social life, I have a family life, I have my career, I have finances. All of those are like apps running within the operating system.
Mm.
If the operating system is faulty, then all of the apps are going to be faulty as well, because they're all based on that operating system. That's what he's doing here, to use a tech analogy. But it's quite a good way of understanding it, because we understand what an operating system, or at least most people do. You know, the operating system, Windows in this case, in my computer, is running all of these apps. We wouldn't be speaking if we didn't have an operating system. But it's happening in the background. We don't even know it's happening. But you know, it's the awareness within which everything else works, which isn't even, most people aren't even aware of it, right? It's just doing its job in the background. What he's saying to us is we need to start becoming aware of that operating system and aware of what's really driving all the apps. So we think we're feeling, and then we speak and we act from those thoughts. We need to start becoming aware of the underlying foundation, the operating system that's actually behind them. Because if we don't question that, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results and wondering why it's all broken and it's not working. Well, because you haven't gone deep enough and you haven't looked at the operating system. So that's what we're doing with the course, going deeper into the mind, looking at the operating system, which means we've got to go down to the level of core belief. We looked at this diagram yesterday, I think, in our session, our sheets, so levels of mind. We've got to go down from perception through emotion, through thought, into belief. And the resistance that we experience is at these levels, right? Emotion, strong emotion, resists, blocks. Feels like a big block. Belief, right? We have these dogmatic beliefs. No, I can't let go of that belief. I really believe in social justice or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm just using an example. It's relevant, but you know what I mean? It's a very, very strong belief, which has an emotion, which creates a perception. And all of that comes from a core belief that you've got to dig through to get to. You've got to dig through those emotions and those thoughts to get to that core belief, which has been covered over by all this stuff. Now that's the spiritual work, right? This is what Carl Jung called shadow work. You've got to go into the psyche, into the subconscious, and you've got to see what's going on there. And you've got to interpret your thought, emotion, and perception from the foundation of the belief that is causing it, and see what that belief must be. Okay, so if you're thinking those thoughts, if you're feeling those emotions, if you're having those perceptions, what must you believe about yourself in order to have those thoughts and feel those feelings and have those perceptions? It's not rocket science, but you have to be very honest. Logically, what must you believe in order to be doing that? Okay, well, that then is your ego's core belief, which needs to be really looked at and questioned in order to undo it. And then, beyond that core belief, you get to the very essence of it, which is a desire. You chose to believe that. You wanted to believe that because you wanted to be a separate self. You see, that's the desire. Do you want to be a separate self? Okay, then I choose to be separate. Then I choose that belief system. Then I choose the thoughts and the emotions and the perceptions. Even though I'm now doing that unconsciously, the choice was made when you chose to be a separate self. And then all of this follows and manifests from it. So it's to drill it down to that very core level of choice and say, you chose to be this, but you can also unchoose it. You can choose against it. And that's where the miracle comes in, because it takes us right down to the very core of our psyche and says, what do you want? Do you want to be a separate self, or do you want to be one self? Do you want to be whole and healed, or do you want to maintain a separate identity? And behind every single choice in the world, that is the choice. That's the fundamental choice. And the miracle happens when you choose oneness over separation. You penetrate through all these layers and you realize this is actually a really, really simple choice. It's this or that, and I must choose one or the other. I can't choose both.
Yeah.
Because they are opposites. They conflict. They will never reconcile. I can't be separate and one at the same time. And you can see that. They create very, very different thought systems. Separation creates a thought system of I'm a separate self. I'm a victim of the world. I feel hardly done by, I feel attacked, I feel fearful, I feel angry, and so on. And then the thought system is, well, yeah, okay, I want vengeance, I want righteous justice, I'm angry with the world. Emotion, anger, fear, perception. The world is an ugly place. The world is not fair. The world's an unfair, cruel place. And I'm a righteous warrior here to fix it. You see how it all stacks up, right? You see that whole, but most people are not aware of this. It's like, okay, how the psyche works and how the layers work. You've got to go through the layers and unpick it all. And then you get to the core and say, but at the core of it, it's a choice. Do I still want to be a separate self, Archie or Bakang or Jono, fighting my, lonely, futile solo battle against the world? Or am I willing to let all that go and just be one again, and be one self, one awareness, and recognize that there is actually really only one thing going on, one awareness behind all of this. Everyone seems to have a separate self, but these layers are illusory. So they're not true. They're just layers of illusion, which you've got to penetrate through. The psychotherapist who saw this structure of the mind so clearly, very clearly, was Carl Jung. He understood. You've got to dive into the layers. He said, enlightenment is not about imagining figures of light. He said it's about going in and making the darkness conscious. So you got to make all these levels conscious, which is the shadow work, which isn't easy. It's not comfortable. When the darkness becomes conscious, you're like, oh, that's horrible. I don't like that feeling. I don't like that thought. Oh, do I really believe that? I didn't think I believed that. I thought I was a good person. Actually, there's a lot of stuff here that's not very nice. But that's what you've got to do to really uncover the ego and make a different choice. Say, when you see the ugliness of it, when you see the pain of it, you see the cost of it, why would you want to continue with it? When you've seen it all so clearly and it's all exposed and it's laid out, dissected on the psychological table that we, like you would dissect a corpse, you go, oh, it's not very nice, is it? Dissect a corpse with cancer and you see all the, like, ugh. Like, why would you want to smoke when you see what it does to your lungs, for instance? It's an example. Same thing here. You're dissecting the psyche and going, oh, not very nice. That's not nice. Okay. No. Do I want that whole thing? Do I want all of this? No. I'm ready to chuck it out and start again from scratch, from first principle, which is, am I one or am I separate? And in each situation, I'm choosing. So, and that's all that forgiveness is. Forgiveness is the willingness to go through these layers and change your mind at the fundamental level. That's where the miracle happens. Once you change your mind at the fundamental level, you say, no, I want to be one, everything changes, because that old belief has to go. You say, I can't believe that anymore. I have to believe now, instead of being a separate self, I'm one self. And the thought I have is no longer about fear and victimization. The thought is about unity and oneness and love and connection. The emotions I feel are more expanded. I'm feeling the oneness, I'm feeling the connection, I'm feeling the peace, I'm feeling the joy. And the perceptions are, wow, life's actually quite inspiring, and it's about connecting and sharing and giving and abundance, and all that. But it all comes from the right foundation. So most people are wanting the abundance, but they don't want to do the work of uncovering the belief in scarcity, which is their separate self, to get there. So they never get there, because you've got to go into the psyche and you've got to do this work. And that's what forgiveness does. It does that. If you're forgiving and you're practicing this course, then you're doing that work. You're drilling in. And that's why it's uncomfortable, because it's not comfortable when you hit the blocks, that emotional block, that dogmatic thought block, that conceptual self-concept block. Different, it's like, ego starts, you're shaking its foundation, you're rattling its cage, right? Doesn't like it. That's where the resistance comes. Anyway, so that's the first paragraph, I guess. But you see how what I try and do is, from the lessons, we go into some of the theory and the teaching.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this over and over and over again. So it just becomes like a second language. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. I see, again and again. This is what we're actually doing. One paragraph actually takes you into the deepest level of psychological understanding, which is pretty profound, really. Okay, so number 2, you think with the mind of God. I think let us become, if you read the original, Archie, you read the alternative, just sentence by sentence. So read a sentence, pause, let the other person say the alternative, and then go to the next one.
You think with the mind of God.
You think with pure, formless awareness of perfect love.
Therefore, you share your thoughts with him as he shares his with you.
Therefore, you share your thoughts with it as it shares its thoughts with you.
They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind.
They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same awareness.
To share is to make alike or to make one.
To share is to make alike or to make one.
Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source.
Nor do the thoughts you think with pure, formless awareness of perfect love leave your awareness, because thoughts do not leave their source.
Therefore, your thoughts are in the mind of God, as you are.
Therefore, your true thoughts are in pure, formless awareness of perfect love, as you are.
They are in your mind as well, where He is.
They are in your mind as well, where it is.
As you are part of His mind, so are your thoughts part of His mind.
As you are part of the awareness, as you are part of its awareness, so are your real thoughts part of its awareness.
Okay, and then read it from the top, Archie, in the alternative. So you summarize all that.
So read the whole, yeah. So, so you think with the mind of God.
No, just the alternative. Just the
just the
alternative.
alternative, okay. You think with pure, formless awareness of perfect love. Therefore, you share your thoughts with it as it shares its thoughts with you. They are the same. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same awareness. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with pure, formless awareness of perfect love leave your awareness, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore, your true thoughts are in pure, formless awareness of perfect love, as you are. They are in your mind as well, where it is. As you are part of the awareness, so are your real thoughts part of its awareness.
So what do you make of that? Makes sense? Any thoughts, comments?
Well, that it's one and the same. So, your thoughts are the thoughts of God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love.
It's one single awareness. That's what he's trying to get us to understand. Your awareness is not separate from ultimate awareness that we call God.
Yeah.
Right? You're not even a part of that. You are that awareness. The idea of part whole is a dualistic concept, but he meets us where we are. So he says you're part of it, because that's how we're thinking at the moment. You are actually all of it. You are that awareness. You just don't know it fully yet. So your journey is to start to discover that. And he's saying, okay, so let's work with thoughts in this lesson. So what is this? The thoughts you think, all your egoic thoughts, dualistic thoughts, thoughts of a separate self, at odds with the world and other people, and fighting its fight and doing its thing and having its experiences and all of its drama. Those are not really your real thoughts. The real thoughts, capital T, come from this awareness. So if you're feeling really happy, really inspired, you think a really loving thought, a kind thought. Now that's what we call a thought of God. It's coming from that awareness. Notice I capitalized the T.
Yeah.
Which implies that it's coming from a higher place. Anything capitalized means that it's level 1 awareness, small is level 2 awareness. That, by the way, is where the course gets horribly confused sometimes. I don't think they really paid too much attention to capitalization when they transcribed it, because sometimes they'll not capitalize something that should be capitalized and vice versa. So, for instance, spirit, which should really be capitalized because it's referring to that top level domain, is small. Creation is small, but it's actually talking about the ground of being with a capital B being, the allness. So these are errors, I believe, in the editing that I've corrected. I've gone, okay, I think they should have paid more attention to these things. But you can imagine, I mean, there are 2 people editing it. It's a monumental task. Like it's 11 o'clock at night. You're getting tired. It's very easy just to whatever. It'll do.
Yeah.
It'll do. And then but now when we pick over it and we go, okay, hang on, that doesn't quite make sense. The capitalization, in fact, is quite important because it points you to the level that you're at. Where is that coming from? Small t means lower level, egoic level. Capital T means higher level. So try to just be consistent in all the translations. And hopefully that translation gives you a very different perspective compared with the original, right? If you read the original, in fact, read the original, Archie. We won't do that for every paragraph. But read the original and just have a sense of how that feels compared to the alternative.
Yeah. So you think with the mind of God, therefore you share your thoughts with him as he shares his with you. They are the same thoughts because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore your thoughts are in the mind of God as you are. They are in your mind as well, where he is. As you are part of his mind, so are your thoughts part of his mind.
So how is that different? Did you get a different understanding from reading the 2?
See, I'm actually quite happy with the original in that, as it reads there. So
yeah, that's fine. I mean, the original's there because the original has has its own language and its own phraseology and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
think
people.
that's because I'm just getting more used to it now,
Yeah.
having, kind of been doing this for a few weeks now. It's
Yeah.
almost like that terminology that
Yeah.
maybe at the start was a bit kind of alien to me, or now is actually I'm okay with
well,
it.
what starts to happen is you start to translate that God word in your own mind. You go, okay, so that is a placeholder for something much bigger than God, the traditional, God of
exactly
Christianity or whichever religion you choose. This being in the sky who's super powerful, but has some bad days and gets angry and vengeful and punishes his children and all that malarkey. You start going, no, it's referring to something much deeper, much more fundamental, which the words pure formless awareness of perfect love try and capture. They point you to an awareness that is more descriptive of what it actually is. God, I don't think, is a particularly good pointer, because what does a 3-syllable word really tell you? Not very much. God. Okay, so what is that? I can see why they chose it. It's Anglo-Saxon God, right? Lord God. Very God, the ultimate supreme, kind of goes with the language. God, very solid, strong, powerful. But that came from a certain concept of God, a certain view of God, which we have to transcend that view. That's not the ultimate view. That's just a stage in the development. If we look at levels of another developmental model in the map of consciousness, you see this. This is David Hawkins' model. He maps the God view as part of this, which is quite interesting. So the God view of the people who, let's say, wrote the Old Testament, created the word God, Anglo-Saxon, would probably have been somewhere around here, right? A God that is commanding, Certainly, probably not in these higher reaches. No way. We're looking at probably a God of, that's indifferent, proud, vengeful, denying various iterations of that, depending on what the story is. We see that in the Old Testament. God has all these different characteristics, but those were ascribed to this fictional God by the writers. That came out of their own subconscious. They then projected all this onto God and said, this is what God must be, because that's where they were at in their psychological development. As you go higher, God becomes, much more about love. So Jesus's version of God, for instance, coming from this state of mind, was very, very different to the old version of God, the Pharisees, Sadducees, coming from somewhere around here, which is obviously why there's a massive clash between them. They didn't agree at all, because his viewpoint is coming from God as the self. And when he said, I am God, they said that's blasphemy. You got to be crucified, because they didn't understand. They're like, this is the ultimate, from this perspective of God as a pride and scorn, and who are you to challenge God? It's blasphemy. But from the enlightened perspective, it's truth. Fascinating, really. So, if you look at history through the lens of these developmental levels, all of the conflicts and the clashes, that one, as an example, become more explicable. You understand why they happened, because the people coming from different levels and different worldviews. And so at one level, what seems to be right is not right at another level. So this could be actually quite useful in your work. See where you are in this, and go, okay, so where do I calibrate? And then, you can see where it is. And you go, okay, so if it's pride, for instance, then that's only halfway up. And anything below 200 is negative. It's life destructive. Okay, so, that's a call to grow, and you grow through forgiveness or letting go of that. Then it's like a springboard or a trampoline, and you bounce up into these higher levels. Anything over 200 becomes life affirming. And that's where you want to be, moving up the level. So quite an interesting tool, again, to use, which is why I give you all these things. This is on page 20 of your manual, by the way. Okay, so happy with number 2. Let's have a quick check at the diagram. What would it feel like to borrow these minds, to think with that better equipment? So you could borrow Einstein's mind, Mother Teresa, Mozart. What about God? The ultimate. This is what this is saying. Some people are, it would be great to have Einstein's mind or whatever. But Einstein didn't understand everything. He didn't. In fact, he said God doesn't play dice with the universe. I don't really get why an all-loving, all-powerful God would create, such a crazy random universe with quantum physics, having a pop at quantum physics at the time. But he didn't really understand. He was trying to reconcile this God, which philosophically he understood should be, everything, all wise, all powerful, all knowing, with the physical laws, and he couldn't do it. It was something that he failed at, because he was looking for the answer in the wrong place. You're not going to find it in the physical universe. So the laws of science can't describe it. They are laws that describe a construct of separation, not of unity. You have to transcend those laws, which you do science will take you there, like any other good path, because if you get to the Big Bang and you go to time t equals 0, then there's no time and there's no space, and all the laws of the ego, the laws of science, break down at that point, and scientists admit that. At time t equals 0, they have no clue whatsoever. All their models, all their theories and so on break down. All the mathematics breaks down, and therein lies the truth, right? But they don't acknowledge it. One of the chaps I listened to, he was doing a lecture in Cambridge, and he said that the most profound thing he said in the whole lecture was, at time t equals 0, we have no idea about anything, pretty much. I'm paraphrasing. And then he just carried straight on. It's like, hang on, just pause. Just stop right there and pause on that idea, because that's mind-blowing. At time t equals 0, all of our models, all of our theories break down, okay, maybe we should just pause and reflect on that and go into that experientially. What does that feel like? What does time t equals 0 feel like? That's what the mystics did. Okay, time t equals 0 is timeless. No space, no time. Beyond the construct of time space, what is there? God. So how would it feel to think thoughts with that mind, that timeless awareness, eternal timeless awareness? Wouldn't you feel an incredible sense of privilege and honor? Wouldn't you feel holy? Wouldn't you feel inexpressibly grateful? Whatever you feel, that's what you're asked to feel today. So again, feel it right now, because it is here right now. It's if it's eternal, it must be in your mind right now. It's never gone away. You just covered it over and obscured it with this vast projection of time, space, and all the thoughts that go with it. But it's still there, as it has always been and as it always will be. If it's eternal, then it must be so. Okay, so hopefully, it all makes complete sense when you really look at it and you break it down, like whichever perspective you look at it, spiritual, philosophical, scientific, you get to the same picture, you get to the same answer. That's what I'm trying to show you. Whichever path you take, you'll get to the same answer. Einstein, actually, I think came quite close to God. I think he was probably the most philosophical scientist ever and was really trying to explore that. I don't think he fully got there, but he realized the limits of science, I think. And so in his last 25 years, his scientific theories stopped. He didn't do the same kind of work that he did in the previous 25 years, where he did the theory of relativity, special and general, and he did his work on photons and all of that. That was like groundbreaking scientific work. He didn't do that. He just thought. He was like, I want the grand unified theory. I want to reconcile this all. And he couldn't, because you can't reconcile truth and illusion. You have to go beyond the illusion.
Yeah, but quite a few physicists kind of were quite spiritual, even like Niels Bohr and Planck, they were all,
Yeah. Well, it points you in a direction. You have to start really questioning reality. Niels Bohr, his interpretation of quantum mechanics is profound. There is no reality in the absence of observation. That is a spiritual statement. That could be a Course in Miracles statement. There is no reality in the absence of observation. That could come straight out of a Course in Miracles.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same thing. Okay, he got there through a scientific perspective, through quantum mechanics, but saying the same thing. So, because that's what the quantum physicists have tapped into. They're going, okay, it's all an illusion. That's what it's saying. Saying the same thing all the mystics have said. Just mapping it out in scientific terms, and it's pretty freaky. Okay, so what is this? Nothing that we think really exists. It only exists in our perception. So how real is it? One of them, I think it was Schrödinger or Heisenberg, was quoted at the end of his life as saying, I can't stand it. I wish I'd never had anything to do with this thing, because it's mine, but it's like freaked me out, because it starts to disturb their comfortable perception of reality. Before that, they're like, okay, so there's little atoms and little billiard balls, and it's all very comfortable. And then quantum physics came on and just blew that all up and went, no, that isn't how it works at all, because there's actually nothing really going on there. It's all just what? It's the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. That's a direct quote from a guy called James Jeans, who was an early quantum physicist. So they started to go, this is about thinking, it's about thought. And that's what the universe is. Okay, so now from that scientific realization comes a whole lot of implications, right? If it's all thought, then my thought must be affecting the universe, because I'm thinking it must be having an impact. And of course, we see that. We know it does have an impact. That's what all the spiritual teachers since time immemorial have said to us. If you're thinking at a certain frequency, you can say to this mountain, move, and it will move. It's all the same stuff. So whichever lens you look at it, whichever path you take, you get to the same realization. And if you can see that, and then you're like, there's just one truth. There's not multiple truths. There's one truth, and whichever path you take, eventually you'll get there. There's slow ways and quick ways. I think there's a very quick way. But if we bring in streams from other thought systems like quantum mechanics and philosophy, science, it speeds it up because you start going, okay, well, there's that perspective, and that kind of, yes, I can see that that's just really saying the same thing, but it's just saying it in a different way. Okay, I get it. And the more you do that, the more you start to go, yeah, there's just one truth. It's very, very simple. There's one God, there's one truth, and it's in everything. So I don't need to go searching for it because it's here now. It's in me right now. I've always, in fact, known it. I just got confused and it got covered over. Now this is the my process of revealing it, discovering it again for myself. Okay, so where then are your real thoughts? Let's read number 3, and then we'll probably go into meditation just now. A couple more paragraphs to then we'll do the med. Okay.
Shall I read it? Oh,
yeah. Read the original. Become you read the alternative. Just sentence by sentence in the same format.
yeah. So where then are your real thoughts?
Where then are your real thoughts?
Today we will attempt to reach them.
Today we will attempt to reach them.
We will have to look for them in your mind because that is where they are.
We will have to look them in your mind because this is where they are.
They must still be there because they cannot have left their source.
They must still be there because they cannot have left their source.
What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation.
What is thought by pure formless awareness of perfect love is eternal because it is part of being.
Yeah. So just read that last sentence again, okay? What is thought by pure formless awareness?
What is thought by pure formless awareness of perfect love is eternal because it is part of being.
Yeah. As opposed to what is thought by the mind of God is eternal. So that awareness is eternal. It never changes because it's part of. Again, you see, there's the an example of that small letter thing.
Yeah.
Creation. But hang on, we're talking about capital mind, capital G. It's part of creation. Why is that small and that's big? That confuses many course students. Like I say, so what level? So is that now a lower level? What's going on here? No, it's just a mistake. They should have put a capital C there. So that's what I've done, and I just called instead of creation, because that implies that at some point a word implies that at some point there was nothing and then it was created, right? And we think of creation in terms of some kind of bringing into being, like the world was created. But if it's eternal, then there was never a time when it didn't exist. So that's not what it is at all. You see, it was never like created. Okay, God snapped his fingers and suddenly brought creation into being. It's being. It's always been. That's kind of what being is, right? Being means it just is. It's always been there, and it always will be, and it's something that we can't really understand conceptually with our minds because it's just eternal. It just always exists. Which is why the ego, can't really wrap. One of the reasons why it can't wrap its head around it. Ego is based on time, and this is timeless.
Yeah.
It was never not there. It was never it was not there, and then you were created. Some people still think at some point God created you, but that's not true. If you're eternal, then you must always have been one with this awareness. This awareness must always have been. You are eternal means your awareness has been existing forever. Beyond time and space, you're immortal, you're eternal. That's like there was never a time you didn't exist.
Yeah. So that means that there was no Big Bang. So.
No, in truth, no, because it's all illusion, right? The Big Bang was just a part of the dream. But in the dream world, the Big Bang brought the dream world into being and brought time and space into being. But it birthed a false reality, which doesn't really exist. It's a little bubble of thought, essentially. Think of the Big Bang as an explosion or a bubble of thought, which has been expanding and expanding. And now we just caught up in this little bubble of thought, but it seems to be enormous. because the bubble seems to have expanded for 14 billion years, and now it's huge. The universe is so vast, we can't even, like, we're just a little speck, tiny, minute speck in one corner of it. And to get to another part would take billions and billions of light years.
Yeah.
It's unfathomable, but it's still just one little bubble. And quantum entanglement, interestingly, says that one particle that's quantum entangled with another will react at the very same time, even if it's a million miles apart.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Which means that there cannot really be space. That doesn't really exist, right? It's all in the same mind, happening simultaneously. Space-time are a fiction. They seem to exist. They seem to govern the world. But if you scratch beneath the surface and you start doing these experiments, you start seeing that that's not the case, because quantum entanglement wouldn't be possible if space was real.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
These things, like hundreds of miles apart in different laboratories, quantum entangled, then react at the same time. Like, how does that happen over like hundreds of miles? It shouldn't happen by the laws of time space, but it does, which indicates that there's something deeper at work. And that deeper thing is this awareness, this pure formless awareness of perfect love or God, which is really saying there's just really one awareness still, even though there's all this time space illusion stuff going on. That doesn't actually really matter. It doesn't actually affect the eternal awareness one bit. Fortunately, that is unaffected. So we can go back to that. We never actually did anything to it. We never destroyed it. We can't change it. We just covered it over. Like the screen. Now that's quite a good analogy with the movie projector. We project all these images onto a screen that now seem to be spaced out, and they now seem to happen sequentially over time. So we created the time-space continuum, as physicists call it. But that covers over the screen, which has always been there, which is eternity. And now we got so obsessed with the time-space illusion that we've forgotten that there's just the screen. In fact, none of those images matter at all. The screen remains. Like, in the movie theater, you go and you watch a movie, and for 2 hours, there's all kinds of stuff happening on the screen, and there's sound and light, and it's a big show. And then when the movie's over and you sit there, I actually love that part, because it's just like this quiet, everything's stopped, and there's just a screen. And it's just all the same. It's, whatever the movie was, exciting, scary, it's all over, and it's just this very, peaceful screen in this room, and nothing is happening, and there's peace again. Love it. And I didn't really understand that at the time, but now I do. It's like, because it's the truth beyond the illusion. And you could just sit and watch the screen and go into a very, very peaceful, blissful state. Most people would go, you're completely crazy. But who's crazy? The ones who are obsessed with all the images and the stories and all these emotions that the images engender, or the person who's just like, well, actually, all I'm really doing is watching a screen. That's the truth of the matter, because the images just flicker and come and go, and there's nothing substantial to them. I mean, think about a movie. Where's the movie? It's just images projected onto a screen, play out over 2 hours, and then the movie's gone. And so where's the movie then? Did it even exist? Once you've seen it, where does it exist? It just exists in your mind. And that movie analogy is really what we're doing in this world. It's just a 3D movie. We actually seem to be walking characters in the movie. It's all playing out in 3D. And we've got all these senses we can see and feel and touch and taste and smell, and it's all synchronized. So what we see, we can then touch, and our mind says, oh, well, it must be there because I can see it and I can feel it, I can touch it, I can taste it, I can smell it. So of course it must be there, and they're all sync. But that's how the matrix works. It's designed to do that, to convince us that it's all real, but actually it's just images projected out onto the screen, and now we perceive them as real. And that split between perceiver and the perceived thing creates the illusion of a reality outside of us. Mind-blowing, really. It was like, my goodness,
Yeah.
What a mind trip.
It
What
is.
what a mind job.
Yeah.
Just like get your head around that is it's like, whoa, what is this actually saying? But that's what quantum physics is saying. If you really go into it, it's saying there's no reality in the absence of an observer. So you are not separate from the observer, which means you must be projecting it and perceiving it. And that's how it works. You project it out, you perceive it simultaneously, and you go, it's real. But is it real? How do you know that if it's a loop? If you projected it and perceived it, how do you know it's reality? Just your own invention. You've made it up and you've made that your reality. So there's no reality in the absence of observation, because the perceiver that is perceiving is there's nothing without the perceiver. That's what they've discovered. Which means if you collapse the perceiver, the separate self, what happens? Poof pop, reality disappears, right? Do you see the angle that the course is taking? Start letting go of the self-concept that thinks it's separate, that is perceiving, and then you collapse reality, and it all disappears because you start projecting from the separate self. Now, how exactly that works, we just got to trust that process. Eventually, you drop the body. Once your mind is awakened enough, you drop the body, which is the mechanism that locks you into the projection. And without the body, there's nothing to hold you here. You know, the equipment, the projector mechanism of the movie is no longer there. It just drops away, and there's just the screen or just the light, and you merge back into that. And God will take that final step. That's what the course says. All it says about that final step is, look, do your work, correct your perception, and when you're ready, that'll just happen. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen. So we don't have to worry about that step, fortunately. That's, by the way, here, if you look at that diagram, that step between the true self or higher awareness or the Son or Christ or Buddha, whatever you want to call it, that step from there into pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is ultimate reality, that step, the course is taken by God. So you don't have to do that. You just have to get yourself here into the highest awareness possible, perceiving everything correctly. That's your Christ self. And then God takes that final step and you just merge back in there. So you don't have to really worry about that. And that's all he says about it. Because he just knows at that point it'll just happen. You don't have to worry about it. But what you do have to do is you have to train your mind to perceive correctly. That's your work. That comes from your true self and true perception. So that's where 99% of the course is directed towards, okay, you're gonna have to perceive correctly, change your mind, change your belief system, forgive, and do this transformation so you become more and more identified with your true self. Okay, so let's just read paragraph 4 and 5, and then I think we start the actual exercise. We'll go into the meditation. So let's just read, switch it again. Started from here, 3 5-minute practice periods. That doesn't matter. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us what God would have us do is impossible. So just read it from there in the original and the alternative.
So
you read the original, maybe, Archie.
we will not let the beliefs of the world tell us what God would have us to do. Oh, sorry. Let me say that again. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible.
Okay, then, Bakang, if you read.
We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what pure, formless awareness of perfect love guides us to do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what pure, formless awareness of perfect love asks us to do is possible.
Yeah. So yeah, there's your answer to the question you asked earlier, about guidance.
Yeah.
Actually, only that is possible because that's your true awareness.
Mm.
Everything else is actually impossible, even though it seems to be happening. That's the paradox. It's impossible, but it seems to be happening. So now you gotta decide, well, what is true, what's actually possible, and what's not possible. You've made up an impossible dream, so the way out of that is to recognize that it's impossible and let it go, and restore your mind to the truth. But if you think that the impossible is possible, which is what we've done, and you've believed that for so long, then to reverse that feels like your brain is being twisted. It's like, hang on, I thought this was real, but now you're saying it's not. And actually, what I thought is reality isn't at all. And what I thought was reality and absolutely possible actually is completely impossible. It's completely upside down. You've got to reverse your entire thinking, which is why it's challenging. But how else are you going to do it? If we are really in an upside down world, if the theory is correct, if the metaphysics of the course and all the non-dual teachings is correct, then this is going to be the only way, right? You've got to reverse your thinking, because your thinking is what's keeping you enslaved in the matrix. It's what keeps the whole thing going. But it's happening on an unconscious level that you're not even aware of. So you've got to drill into that unconscious, and you've got to collapse the self-concept that keeps the whole game going. And that's awakening when you do that. It's starting to make sense. You see how it's all pointing to the same really, really simple truth.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You got to collapse that self-concept, whichever path you take. So there's no escaping that. You have to face it and let it go. So you may as well get on with it in this one, because there's not going to be an easier way. You have to face it in any other good path as well. Okay, so then just number 5 to lead us into the meditation. Switch it again. So Bakang, if you read the original sentence by sentence, and Archie read the alternative.
Okay. We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do.
We will also try to understand that only what pure, formless awareness of perfect love guides us to do is what we want to do.
And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do.
And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what it asks us to do.
There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today.
There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today because it is the will of perfect love.
Okay, and then the last sentence, it is the will of God.
Yeah, I just actually incorporated into one sentence, I think. So just read it from the top, Bakang, and the alternative.
We will also try to understand that only what pure formless awareness of perfect love guides us to do is what we want to do. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what it asks us to do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today because it is the will of perfect love.
Yeah. Very encouraging words. Saying, this is a done deal. This has to happen. If this awareness is your true awareness, there's really no other possibility. Of course, the ego will rebel against that and say, of course, there's another possibility. I'm it. But this awareness is there to help you out of that delusion. So no, it's actually a done deal. This awareness is already there. It's eternal. It's what you really are. It's always what you've been. So all you've got to do is remember it. It's already there. So this is a difference. We discussed this briefly yesterday with, the difference between a growth mindset and a being mindset. They're fundamentally different. Growth says, I'm not quite okay now, but if I do this and this and this, and I exert myself and I learn and I'll grow into something better. But the assumption is that I'm not quite okay as I am. A being mindset, which is the perennial philosophy, says, no, I'm perfect as I am. I always have been. All I've got to do is remember that. So my growth from the being philosophy looks like I'm just letting go of everything that I'm not. I'm cutting away what I'm not to reveal what I am. That's growth. Whereas the growth mindset says, no, I've got to become something more. So it's all about more. I've got to do more. I've got to 10x. I've got to become more. I've got to grow more. I've got to learn more. I've got to, very exhausting. I've got to do, because I'm not okay as I am fundamentally. And the problem with that growth mindset is the assumption then built into it is that you have to grow because you're not okay. You see, so you really, by all of the growth work that you're doing, you're saying, I'm not okay as I am. It's a paradox. So it gets you in a conundrum. The more you do it, and the more you stressing and straining and striving to grow, the more you're saying, I'm not okay as I am, and the more you're not peaceful. And so you're actually ultimately going against your true nature and your true self. It's why the Buddha said, craving, desire is the source of all suffering. Even the craving to be better, to be a better self, is a craving. You identify that. It's one of the three core cravings. To be a better self. Oh, I want to be something better, something higher, better status, whatever. Like, I remember Cypher in the Matrix. Oh, like an actor or someone. Someone important. That was exactly that form of craving.
Yeah.
Which led him to actually be traitorous to the Christ, to the true self. So that, we've got to look at that honestly and say, that's not really going to work. True growth looks like I've got to cut away everything that is not my authentic self. If you accept if you accept the logic of this model, you say, okay, this is true. We already are eternal. We're perfect. We're whole. We're complete. We must be, because we're all created by God, which is eternal. Therefore, I'm already perfect. So my job is to remove my imperfections. I'm not painting a picture on a blank canvas, as an analogy for the world, and painting this, wonderful, wonderful story for myself. I am a sculptor cutting away all of the rough edges of myself to reveal the true self that I am. Like Michelangelo, when he sculpted the David, he was asked, "How did you do this?" He said, "I just took away what wasn't David," which is a very simple answer. I just took away all of the excess marble that wasn't there, because David was already there, right? Must have been. All the marble was already there. It just needed to be revealed. Very, very different psychological process, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one is like, it's already there and I'm revealing it. The other one is, it's not already there and I've got to grow into it and I've got to become it and I've got to create it.
Yeah.
Which is going to be more peaceful and which is likely to succeed, because the problem with growth is, where does it stop?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to 10x something, but then what? You're going to 10x it again? Like, you've only got so much energy. Like, how are you going to do that again? So it has its limits, right? You can grow to a point and then you're like, okay, so now what? And now I hit a dead end or a dead beginning, which then is often the shift into the third lane, sattva, where you go, okay, hang on. Like, maybe there's something wrong with my model. I got to that point in my late 20s when I'd done all of this and I wanted to be a world champion squash player. And then I realized, but, I haven't succeeded. And then I really, it was a great epiphany, because I went, well, maybe it's not that I've failed. Maybe it's that the thought system has failed me, that I believed in. And, I really went, okay, I really need to look at this idea that, yes, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, Napoleon Hill, you probably know all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you can achieve it, whatever you, yeah, all of this. I've done all of that to death, and it just didn't work eventually. And I was like, but if it was all supposed to work, then it should have worked, right? But it didn't work. So what am I missing? Maybe there's something missing in this thought system. And there was a truth that was missing, which, then the failure made me really go deep into that and question that and start a whole journey of spiritual awakening. So I'm very grateful that I didn't become the world champion squash player. I'm very, very grateful now. At the time, it felt like, this is really disappointing and my life is over and whatever. But I'm very grateful that it didn't do that, because otherwise I wouldn't have had the impetus to awaken and to really question that whole thought system at quite a young age and go on a different path. And that's exactly an example of why we don't really know what's good for us. What I thought was a great failure and disappointment was actually exactly what I needed to awaken. That's how it works. Okay, so any questions, comments on this? Shall we go into the meditation? Great lesson again. Let's close it out with a med, because it's what he's guiding us through, so that's best done if I'm guiding you through it. Happy to do that. We'll take about 20 minutes, and then that'll lead us to the end of the session. All right, I'm just going to get recording going, so just make yourself comfortable. Okay, so this is a meditation on today's workbook lesson, lesson 45. God is the mind with which I think. Or in alternative language, pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think. So we're going to practice this for maybe 20 minutes, just making yourself comfortable. Sitting comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle. It's a muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. That locks the energy in. It's the base chakra. You lock the energy in. You feel this energy rising up the spine. Maybe a little warm thread, a little tingling up the spine. Breathe into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart if you like. And breathe all the way up into the crown of your head. You can feel that energy running up the spine. Put your eyes closed. And just repeat today's idea to yourself. God is the mind in which I think, with which I think, or pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think. Just connect in with that awareness. Think a few relevant thoughts of your own related to this. Keeping this key idea in mind. So God is the mind in which you think. So this awareness is behind all your thoughts. What does that mean? It means that you must be awakened already. It means all your thoughts are naturally positive. You feel abundant. You're grateful. You perceive everyone in loving awareness, kindly. Whatever other thoughts come to you. Breathe in again. So breathe this awareness in. Imagine you breathe into every pore, every cell, every muscle, your body, every fiber of your being, every part of your mind. And repeat the idea again. Say, God is the mind in which I think, or pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think. Tell yourself gently, my real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them. And now try to go past or let go of all the unreal thoughts that cover the truth in your mind and reach to the eternal. So exhale. As you exhale, have a sense of letting go of all of those thoughts. Any fear thoughts, anxiety, doubt, disbelief, resistance to the truth in any form, anger, frustration, guilt, sinful thoughts, disappointment, rejection, sadness, loneliness, abandonment, sickness, death, etc., etc., all of that, which preoccupies your mind to a large extent. Just give yourself permission to let all that go. Imagine you blowing it out with the breeze of your breath. Just letting it go into the nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. And let it all go and open your mind to the truth. Because under all the senseless thoughts and mad ideas, or that you've cluttered up your mind, or the thoughts that you thought with God or pure formless awareness of perfect love in the beginning, right? In the beginning, before time and space, before the thought of separation, that's what it's pointing to. There was really no beginning. There was only seemingly a beginning of an illusion, a massive illusion. But before that was just eternal awareness. And that eternal awareness remains here now. These thoughts are there in your true awareness now, completely unchanged. They will always be in your awareness exactly as they always were. Everything you've thought since then will change, but the foundation on which it rests is wholly changeless. Breathe in again. Just breathe this truth in. These words are pointing you to a foundational truth. It is this foundation toward which the exercises for today are directed. Here is your awareness joined with pure, formless awareness of perfect love. So breathe that awareness into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every fiber of your being, every part of your mind. Feel that oneness with this awareness. You are it and it is you. There's no separation. It's your own true nature. It's your own fundamental awareness. It's the very essence of your being. It's your life essence. It's your mind. It's your awareness, whatever language you want to use. It's who you really are. It's what you really are. Have a sense of feeling into that. And for this kind of practice, only one thing is necessary. Approach it as you would a foundation dedicated in the state of pure formless awareness to perfect love, the source and its extension. Such is the state you're trying to reach. You will probably be unable as yet to realize how high you're trying to go, or how deep, depending on the analogy you use. You're going deep in to your true self, the light of your true awareness. But even with the little understanding you've already gained, you should be able to remind yourself that this is no trivial game, but an attempt to reach the kingdom of heaven or the state of pure formless awareness. So just sink inwards and downwards. Have a sense of shifting inwards and downwards. Let the breath take you there, just breathing nice, rhythmical, gentle, subtle breaths in and out through your nose. And have a sense of sinking inwards, deeper into your mind, going deeper and deeper into your mind with every breath. Going past a heavy cloud of insane thoughts. All of these thoughts that clutter up your mind. Thoughts of the past and the future. Thoughts about your little self in the world, problems, difficulties, challenges, traumas, upsets, fears, worries, and so on, etc., etc. You know how it goes. All of that rubbish. Imagine it's just like a heavy cloud, and you're just rising up through it, or sinking through it, if you prefer sinking. Let's use the sinking analogy. You're just sinking through the clouds towards the center of your being, where truth, light, God abides, symbolized as a radiant, eternal light. Don't have to see light, just feel a sense of a very peaceful awareness waiting for you beyond all these thoughts. Sink in with an attitude of confidence, a sense of the importance, value, and the sacredness of what you're doing. Just going deeper and deeper with each breath into this source of your very being, the source of all thought. That's where this lesson is calling us to go. Beyond all the crazy, insane thoughts of your separate self lies your true awareness and the thoughts that it inspires. These are happy, loving, gentle, kind thoughts, your real thoughts. Maybe some of those occur to you now as you sink deeper and deeper. Maybe gratitude fills your heart. Maybe you feel love towards someone else. Maybe you're willing to let go of something that you've been holding on to. Because this peace is irresistible, draws you into it, down, deeper and deeper into this peaceful awareness. Beyond all the crazy thoughts of the ego, there is just peace. There is just light and nothing else. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. So just feel into that. Breathe into that. You might want to repeat the idea. If your mind is wandering, say, God is the mind with which I think, or pure formless awareness. Perfect love is the mind in which, is the awareness in which I think. And then rest in that awareness. You should feel a sense of peace, perhaps a sense of approaching or even entering into light. Maybe that's just a light feeling in your heart. Maybe you see light, you visualize light, golden or white light or some other light. Allow yourself to sink into that light, however you perceive it. It's going to write in the wrong way, by the way. So you're not seeing visual light, and you're just feeling this light presence, this very peaceful presence. That's quite okay. Just let that happen. Sink into it. Feel the peace in your heart. Drop into it, sink into it. Going deeper and deeper into the light with every breath. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Drop all thoughts. Just surrender into this very calm, deep, peaceful awareness. The light of what you are. And rest here in this awareness for a few minutes of deeply peaceful silence. Keep watching your breath. If your mind wanders, bring it back to the breath. You can repeat the idea for the day. God is the mind in which I think. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think. To help you just come back into this awareness. I'll leave you now in this deep, peaceful awareness in which you are one with the mind of God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, your own deepest awareness, your own true self. Just allow yourself to experience that fully. The great I am presence, it's called. I am that I am. As the presence told Moses all those years ago from the burning bush. Feel that I am presence now in your heart, in your mind, in your being. For the next few minutes of deep silence, just surrender to that and that alone. So just gently coming back from this really deep state, peaceful light awareness. You're going to bring your mind back into an awareness of the body, the breath, the senses, and the world. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. Notice what's going on in there. If there's any thoughts, any emotions, particularly anything unwanted, just remind yourself the idea for today, God is the mind with which I think, or pure formless awareness of perfect love is the mind in which I think, is the awareness in which I think, and let it go with your breath, just breathing it all out, having a sense of blowing that thought, that emotion out with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness that it really is. It's just a heavy cloud of insane thought. Blow it away with the breeze of your breath. Return your mind to the light. And the gap between breaths, just feel this lovely, peaceful light of awareness. You are always happy, always peaceful, calm, serene, no matter what seems to be going on, no matter what the cloud patterns are. This is always there. So you're going to anchor the state in. Just set the intention to feel this for the rest of the evening on into your day tomorrow. So breathing in, you notice the count of 2, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Notice the smell in your nose, maybe a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing, touching, tasting, feeling. Just perceive all these things from this very peaceful, clear awareness which you've developed. You can go back into the world of sense perceptions, but notice that all these perceptions, all these thoughts are happening within the field of this infinite, eternal, expansive, and very peaceful awareness. So everything is now happening in this awareness. In other words, you're thinking, feeling, perceiving in this awareness. That's what the lesson is saying. Have a sense of that being true experientially, not just a theory or concept, but actually a felt sense of it. Breathe into that again, embrace it, feel into it. Connect with the feeling, anchor the state in. That you're going to stay here for the rest of the evening on into tomorrow. Through the night on into tomorrow and the rest of your week. So it is said, so it is done. And now, on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just taking a minute or so to look around, noticing whatever's going on around you, thoughts, feelings. Internally, notice your perceptions, very clear, very light, very peaceful, hopefully. Notice that you're not really naming or judging or labeling anything. It just is what it is, and it's all happening in this field of very peaceful awareness. Any thoughts that you're having happen within this awareness. Any perceptions you have happen within this awareness. It's all one and the same awareness that is always there and is always available, right? So whatever you're perceiving is happening from this foundation within this awareness. That's what the lesson is teaching us. So have a felt sense of that. Whatever you're looking at, whatever you're hearing, touching, tasting, smelling, all of your sense perceptions are happening within this fundamental, foundational awareness that we call God, which is your own true awareness. You can't really ever get away from that. Without that awareness, there would be no perception, no thought. They only happen because there's this fundamental awareness, this foundation. Have a sense of that, give thanks for that, say the lesson one more time. God is the mind with which I think, or pure formless awareness of perfect love is the awareness in which I think, and you can add perceive. in which I think and perceive. Always and in all ways. There's no exception to this. This awareness is always present because it's the very foundation of my mind. I could not have sense perceptions or thought without this awareness, which is why God is closer than you think. It's why God is always with you. You know, all these ancient teachings, the scriptures, etc. It starts to make sense once you understand what they're really pointing to is your own fundamental awareness that is can never be separate from you. It is the very essence of who you are. So on that note, let's call it to a close, shall we? Thank you for joining. Great to have you, Archie Bakang. Welcome back. You just join us from time to time. Join us every week if you want. Wishing you both a very peaceful evening. I will catch you tomorrow, Archie, afternoon, right? 2 o'clock.
Yes, 2 o'clock, please. Yeah. No,
Cool.
thank you for that. Meditation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It always
All right.
set me up for
ready for bed. Yeah. That's great. That's the idea.
No, it's perfect because 9 o'clock is my bedtime.
Yeah.
So I just go after these. I just go straight to bed. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Great. Okay. Sleep well, and I will
thank
see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Namaste.
Thanks, Jono. Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Nice meeting
you,
Archie.
Yes, nice to meet you too as well, Bakang.
Yeah.
I hope you'll join us for other sessions.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, no, thank you.
Okay, we'll chat soon. I'll send you some stuff and follow up to our initial conversation.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jono.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.
Sleep well.
Thank you.
Sweet dreams.
Bye.
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 All right, so that is a wrap for today. If you enjoyed that session, why not hit the subscribe button? You will get notifications from YouTube whenever I go live, so you can view the live streams or you can catch the recordings. If you check your notifications, it'll have it in there for a while, so it's quite convenient. Also helps us out, grow the channel, etc., which I'd appreciate. Secondly, if you want to dive a bit deeper, I invite you to go to lifepool.com, where you can enter your number for Telegram. If you use Telegram, or if you don't use Telegram, you can download it. It's a free messenger app similar to WhatsApp, but it's better, especially for the kind of messaging that I do. So go to lifepool.com, put in your details, and I will add you to a free Telegram group, to which I send some of the kind of material that I showed you in the video, a daily quote, a blog post about that, often some other resources like a recording, a daily mind training lesson based on A Course in Miracles, with illustrations, with a short mini meditation or breath break to back it up and help you practice it, and invitations to join these live sessions in Zoom, all free at lifepool.com. So check it out if you feel inspired to do so. You'll see a link below in the description of the video where you can click that, or just type Lifepool. You can see that spelled in the background .com, and you'll be there. Okay, so I hope you'll do that. I hope to connect with you in the group, maybe in one of these sessions, and just thanking you for joining us. Namaste, which means the peaceful self in me acknowledges and honors that same divine peaceful self in you. Peace.